I'm Tiana Jordan, and this morning I have with me the Public and Government Affairs Advisor for ExxonMobil, Janelle Persaud. A very good morning to you, Janelle. Yes, it's great to have you here this morning. How are you doing?
I am great. It's the middle of the week. Exciting things are happening over at our end, so I'm feeling spectacular.
Our focus this morning is the Liza Unity, the latest floating production, storage, and offloading vessel to arrive in Guyana. First of all, I'd like to know, what is a floating production, storage, and offloading vessel?
Yeah, so Liza Unity is the second FPSO. The FPSO, I mean, the name says it all. Floating production, storage, and offloading vessel. It is essentially a magnificent piece of equipment that helps us to produce oil and gas offshore. It is connected more to the seafloor, connected to wells that are bringing up oil, water, and gas, and there are equipment on board that separates that out, treats it appropriately, stores it, and then, of course, eventually offloads that to the market.
And, of course, for those who don't know, when did the Liza Unity arrive? And we know that the Liza Destiny was the first FPSO to arrive. So what makes the Liza Unity different from the Liza Destiny?
Right. So the Liza Unity arrived in Guyana just about 2 weeks ago on October 25. It got here after traveling about 53 days from Singapore. And so it is very similar in terms of what it does, but in terms of capacity, it is a bigger vessel. So it will have an approximately 220,000 barrel of oil per day production versus the Liza Destiny, which is about 120,000 barrels of oil per day. It'll store about 2 million. It'll have the capacity to store about 2 million barrels of oil. And then, of course, because of that capacity, lifting, and that's once it ramps up to full production, because that's not going to happen right away. There is a process that takes it up to full production, but before, once it ramps up, it'll take about 4 to 6 days for loading, right? As long as things are going according to plan. The Destiny takes longer just because of the sheer production capacity.
And when are you expecting first oil?
So right now what we're doing is just ensuring that the vessel is storm safe, just connecting it appropriately to the seafloor, connecting all of the other equipment, and then we have to test and commission. We're hoping to achieve first oil in the first half of 2022. But everything that we're doing right now is to ensure that it is sort of like safely connected. All of the equipment are working as they should, and then we will move to first oil.
There were some prolonged issues with the flash gas compressor on the Liza Destiny that had led to flaring of gas and even reduced oil production at one time. What makes the flash gas compressor on the Liza Unity so different that there will not be a repeat of the problem?
Right. So the design of the second, if you recall, the issues that we had with the Liza Destiny was like the flash gas, the specific components of the compressors. So the design of the second and third stage compressors of the Liza Unity are different design to the compressor, which had been experiencing the technical challenges on the Liza Destiny. Of course, there are sort of continued applying lessons learned from the Destiny to the Unity, and so we're hoping that things go according to plan. There is a significant commitment to safety of operations on the Destiny and just on the Unity, and as it is on the Destiny. But just like the Destiny, the vessel is designed not to flare routinely, and so that is part of our commitment to ensuring that our operations are not only safe for people but also safe for the environment.
How many Guyanese were involved in the construction?
The physical construction, I couldn't give you a number, but there are so many components because of operations are so vast. There could be something happening in Singapore for the Unity during its construction, and there are people here that are supporting that. And so what we've done is we consider that everyone who are just supporting our overall activities are playing some role in supporting, including the Unity. And so we have about 2,800 Guyanese supporting our overall activities as of the first half of 2021. And so I couldn't give you a specific number on a Unity per se, but we are all making contributions to ExxonMobil's overall activities, whether it's within Guyana or outside of Guyana.
What about Guyanese who will be working aboard? Do you have an exact number to give, or?
So I do know, I couldn't give you a specific number of the Guyanese who were on it, but we do intend to, as part of our commitment, to have over a 8-year period on all of the FPSOs to have about 75%. That is part of a working sort of plan that we have, a commitment we have with the government to have 75% Guyanese by the 8th year of each of the vessel's operations. And so we're constantly doing that with the Destiny. As you might recall, we had the first set of 24 offshore and operations and maintenance technicians who had traveled to Canada for training, and they have returned and they're working on the Destiny. And so the operating company for the vessel is going out for another set of Guyanese who can be similarly trained to work on the Unity and other vessels coming up. So there is a consistent effort to ensure that Guyanese are appropriately trained to work on the operations. It is important to us that Guyanese are integrally involved in the process at every step of the way.
And now that in terms of Guyana's economy, how will production on the Liza Unity impact Guyana's economy?
It might be presumptuous for me to talk about the impact that it can have on the economy, but I can tell you that based on the sort of the production sharing agreement that we have in place, the government will be entitled to lifts, accordingly 50% of the profit share. So there are significantly smarter people than myself just working out that math and determining how many lifts you get per year. And so 220 plus the 120, we're looking at almost triple the amount that we have right now, barrels of oil being produced a day by these two vessels. And of course that will contribute to the revenues or the government's take on this. And of course that's on the one hand, that's the government's take. On the second hand, we are increasingly hiring Guyanese. That's another sort of involvement for Guyanese, and that has implications for the economy. We are also hiring Guyanese contractors who are working and supporting our industry, over 800 of them to date, and that number will continue to grow as we continue to bring more projects on. And so there is sort of like a ripple effect. If I couldn't quantify, say this is the specific effect that we are going to have, but there are layers of impact that can be had and that has already been had on the economy. For the first half of the year too, almost 20 billion Guyana dollars have been spent with these contractors that I mentioned, and so that is also an effect that has been occurring on the economy, and I expect that to continue to grow as we bring more projects on.
You mentioned training and hiring Guyanese. What categories of Guyanese workers have to be trained to take up jobs aboard the Liza Unity?
Well, there are different types of skills. There are the technical types of skills. So you have the operations and maintenance technicians, you have engineers, but then you also have like auxiliary staff who provide catering and cleaning and that type of thing. There are sort of specific trainings involved. I think one of the most basic of them, and I probably shouldn't say basic because it's one of the most difficult things that I have had to do, is a helicopter underwater training to be able to go offshore. That's one of the first trainings, but there are people at every level. And the operations and maintenance technicians are the first set of sort of technical, technical skills of people that we are proactively training, but there are Guyanese who have not gone through that process. Like I have just completed a feature on this female scaffolder who is working on the vessel, and she's not one of the O&M technicians, but she's been trained by her company to do scaffolding and painting. But that might seem like a simple task, but it involves like climbing and a whole host of other things that you have to be appropriately trained for. So there are different levels of skills that will be required.
Great. And is there anything else you would like to add about the Liza Unity?
No, just that we are all excited about its arrival in Guyana. Just to complement the Liza Unity, the Liza Destiny rather, and so we are happy that everyone got here safely. We are committed to responsibly developing Guyana's resources, cognizant of the people, cognizant of the environment, and ensuring that there is an appropriate balance economically as well.
Okay, thank you very much. You were just listening to an interview with the Public and Government Affairs Advisor for ExxonMobil, Janelle Persaud. We were talking about the Liza Unity, the latest floating production, storage, and offloading FPSO vessel to arrive in Guyana.
News Talk Radio Guyana 103.1 FM, radio that educates and entertains.